here to bring you another Boom Beach video. In today's video, guys, we're going to be discussing who is the best hero overall. We'll do a little bit of a discussion on all of them and kind of the troops that they work best with, how everyone is using them thus far. And I got this idea from an article I saw posted to Reddit, so I'm going to give a big shout out to... I'm going to just post a link to the article down below, guys. So let's go ahead, let's discuss this, and let's go ahead and dive on into today's Dr. Terrence, guys. So, bit of a disclaimer, I do have a full boost going from an operation attack that was absolutely horrible, so I guess we'll quickly show this here, guys. This was bad. I was in the chicken's defense, I was kind of distracted at the time I was doing this and was kind of rushed, but I mean, all the chicken's attacks are like that. So, let's go ahead and see what this guy said here. So, the heroes obviously have become an integral part of the game. It's like, I don't know, it's not as big as the hero update was in Clash of Clans, where it like literally became Clash of Heroes and like depended on your hero level, like how good you were going to be, but it is a huge aspect of the game now, to see like the impact that the heroes have on all the different troop compositions and stuff. So let's just start off, and we already know that basic stuff about the heroes, I guess. We'll just jump into some different troop compositions and see what this guy says that he uses for each thing. So, for warriors, this guy said these units are very popular in mid-level gameplay. Of course, they're popular overall in the game. And come on, iPad, don't chicken us out here. Okay, are we gonna be? What is going on, man? I had to get the data plan on this change, but it's through the same network, so. Like, the signal should be the same, right? And I was playing it all day today, so... I don't know why that happens, guys. It's beyond the chicken's control. So, let's finally get into Dr. Terrence, and we'll get into this little discussion here. So, for warriors, obviously, the most used combination right now, with basically the 2-week, like, warrior mania going on. So, this guy says for warriors, he likes to use Brick, Battle Lords, and Iron Will. And I actually disagree with him on this. I think Dr. Caveman is going to be the best hero to use with warriors. Funny enough, I actually have Brick loaded up, but that was just for the operation, guys. So let's get Brick, let's get Caveman, let's get the Ice Shield up here, and okay. So, as for Dr. Caveman, the hero also suits warriors well, but he thinks that Brick is better. So I disagree with him there. I think that Dr. Caveman is the best hero for warriors. I think he was actually built towards warriors because people felt like. After Brick and Everspark came in, the warriors like indirectly got nerfed because they didn't work well really with either of the heroes. Now, of course, they do work with Brick. It's just tough to do it. If you can get Brick to work with warriors, obviously that's the way to go. But in my opinion, it kind of depends on the base, and it's not always the best option to bring battle orders when you have the Ice Shield. Alright, so moving on to the next troop combo, very, very popular, somewhat controversial in certain areas of the game, guys. And that is going to be, look at that, we just one-shot that base, and that is going to be Tank Medic. So obviously one of the most popular attacking combinations in Boom Beach for high and low level players. It does like break it around a certain VP level, it's not as good. So he says the most suitable heroes for Team Ed are going to be Captain Everspark with her Critter Swarm ability and Dr. Caveman with his Crystal Critters. Now, I haven't played around with Caveman's Crystal Critters and the tanks too much, but I can tell you at level 1, it's really not that amazing. I would agree though that I would say that Everspark is the best hero for Tank Medic, and I wouldn't even say the Critter Swarm is, because I always find when I use the Critter Swarm with Tank Medic or Scorcher tanks or anything, I find that I don't get a great amount of value out of the Critter Swarm, because yes, you do get free critters out of it, and it is nice, but I mean, you don't get to really control where the critters are going. So in my opinion, I kind of like having the passive critter ability from Everspark, and I like to use the universal remote because I feel like that comes into play like really handy sometimes. I mean, if you're coming up on a boom can or something and you haven't used it yet, like you can get rid of the boom cannon for like 8 GBE, 6 or 8 GBE, whatever it costs initially. So that's what I like to use for Team Eds, guys. And of course, let me know if you agree, disagree about all this stuff down in the comments. And so next up is going to be probably the most commonly used, most popular strategy in the game. That's going to be Heavy Zuka. Now, Heavy Zuka is one of my favorite strategies because it works great for high and low level players. You can just kind of do the spread out version of of Heavy Zuka, or you can do the Smoky Hookah version. And depending on what kind of version or the base you're attacking, you can actually use a multiple amount of different heroes. You can use Dr. Caveman, you could use his Ice Shield, you can use his Crystal Critters, you could use his Restoration ability to save some Zukas, but I don't think that's the way to do it. And personally, I would go with Battle Orders and Smoky Heavy Zuka if I was going to pick the best out hero for it. So this guy says in this article, oh, there goes Caveman. He says that for Heavy Zuka, especially for early level gameplay, he prefers Captain Everspark with her universal remote with Hookah. Now, sure, that can be a good strategy, but again, it depends on the base, right? I would actually say that if you're going to use Everspark, I don't know if I would use the universal remote. I would actually kind of lean towards the explosive charges, or maybe even the critter swarm. If I was going to do a spread out version of Heavy Zuka, if I was going to use Smoky Heavy Zuka, then sure, the universal remote would have some play. But I think overall the battle orders in both like high and low level ways of using Heavy Zuka, I think it's going to cover more of a general basis of attacks. So I think again, Battle Orders is going to be the one to go there. Basically, anything that involves Zukas, man, is probably going to benefit the most from Battle Orders as opposed to anything else. Again, depending completely a little bit on the base type and everything like that. So the next up, he talks about Scorchers and tanks. Now, this is going to be very similar to Tank Medic. There's not a whole lot that really changes here. And in my opinion, before I even read what he has down here, I think Battle Orders is good. I think Iron Will is good. I think Critter Swarm is okay. But I actually really like the second wind ability with Dr. Caveman when I'm using Scorchers and tanks, or just tanks in general. Because, especially having it at max level, I don't use it a whole lot right now, because at level 1 I'm only resurrecting 1 tank and a handful of riflemen, but at max level, when you're healing, when you're bringing back 2 tanks, that's pretty huge when you think about it. So that's the reason I like second wind with Scorchers and tanks, guys. But we'll see what this guy says here. So he says, he likes Captain Everspark with her Critter Swarm ability. Did we just one-shot that? Okay, maybe not, but it seemed like it. He likes Captain Everspark with her Critter Swarm ability. Critters distract the attention of cannons, boom cannons, doom cannons, provides more times for tanks and Scorchers. As for Breaker Battle Order, works also not bad, but until the moment last Scorcher destroyed. So maybe English isn't his first language, guys, but we won't say too much about that. But yeah, like, of course, a lot of stuff is going to work, but when you're talking about the best thing, I would say, like, and the best thing for the most general amount of attacks, I would say that second wind is probably going to be the best, especially when you get it to max level. Maybe not at level 1 right now. Maybe you're better off with Iron Will or Battle Orders, but and then there's not too much to say. He's got all Zugas up here. Of course it's going to be Battle Orders. I mean, that's not even really worth debating. Like, nothing else is going to work. But actually, I guess we should say, I actually like using Ice Shield sometimes, but even when I'm doing that, it's just more for, like, fun style attacks, if that makes sense. Like, obviously Battle Orders is going to be the best for all Zukas. Everybody knows that. That's not really up for debate at all. It's just, I have fun boosting up troop health and using Ice Shield with the Zukas sometimes. I'm not saying that's a great strategy, or even really maybe a viable strategy at all, depending on the base, or like in operations and stuff. It's obviously not a viable option, so take that for what you will, but that's just the chicken's opinion. If I'm just messing around or whatever, then sometimes I like to throw out the Ice Shield with boosted troop health. If you don't have troop health, probably not the greatest idea. Alright, so we got all the warriors up here. Stage 6 goes down, and so another popular, well, not so popular, I guess, probably the least popular, actually, when I think about it, Grenadiers and Medics. So attacks with Grenadiers and Medics become more seldom recently, but nevertheless, such combinations still used. So this guy says, in his opinion, the best variant for Grenadiers is Captain Everspark with the universal remote ability. So I don't know too much about using Grenadiers and Medics, guys. Did we not lose a single warrior there? But I would say, I don't know, I feel like Caveman would probably be best, simply because of his passive heal ability. I mean, getting critters out of Everspark when you're using Grenadiers, isn't that helpful? Because they typically outrange all the one-shot buildings, like the sniper towers and the normal cannons. Like, yeah, you might save some troops here and there from a boom cannon shot, but like typically if you're using Grand Meds, you probably know what you're doing with them, because it's not very like it's not like a commonly used thing. So you're probably not just getting melted down by boom cannons and stuff to the point where you need critters to help you out. You probably are like, you probably just need a little bit extra, like that extra healing that Dr. Caveman is going to allow. I think that's going to be the bigger benefit overall for Grens and Medics. And then lastly, we have Rifle Cryo Zuka Medic, guys. Oops, we forgot to shock here. So since we are fully boosted, we might actually be able to get away with it. But yeah, okay. So stage 7 goes down. We're back. So for our Rifle Cryo Zuka Medic, Rifle Zuka Medic, however you want to play it, any hero suits, they're going to benefit from a lot of different stuff. Universal Remote, Battle Orbs, Iron Will, they're all really good. I like Dr. Caveman with his Crystal Critters ability, but I don't know. For the most part, when I'm using Rifle Cryo Zuka Medic, I'm usually using Everspark and either Universal Remote or the Critter Swarm. I actually really like the Cluster Grenade, as crazy as that sounds, with Rifle Cryo Zuka Medic. I've gotten into that on different videos, guys. But yeah, so definitely excited to hear what you guys think of this article down below in the comments. Do you agree with anything he says? Do you agree with anything the chicken says? Do you disagree? Do you have different opinions? Let me know that down in the comments, guys. That's going to wrap it up for the video today. Make sure to leave a like if you found it interesting, entertaining, or informative. Big shout out to the commenter of the day, IP Fuad. I think he beat Hammerman stage 6 or 7 for the first time. So big shout out to IP, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Chicken out.